Una y dos. Y dos. Una y dos. Una y dos.
Hello and welcome to Cortes NYC Livestream, the podcast. This show broadcasts twice a week out of New York City. We are your hosts, Cortes NYC
and Carla de Puerto Rico.
And on the show, we talk about art, creativity, city life from a Latino perspective. I'm a visual artist.
And I'm a singer.
And this is episode 58.
As always, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and Spotify, and on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr.
And as always, please help me out. Go log on to my online store, cortesnyc.bigcartel.com. On my online store, you will find that I have posters, I have pins, I have stickers, I have original art for sale. Actually, I just recently put up a new piece, a Trump piece made in gouache. It's pretty cool, got a lot of likes. So you guys go check it out and buy and help support. Let's get on with it. All right, another episode. We're back.
Yes, we are back.
This episode, we are going to continue the museum tour through the holidays.
Where are we going today?
Today we're going to go to Queens, to the Museum of Moving Image.
Oh, nice. That one is different.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool museum. The Museum of Moving Image is actually located in Queens in Astoria. It's on 35th Avenue and 36th Street. It's a huge building that houses all types of history, artifacts, and different items from movies. All kinds of genre, horror, drama, even black and white times. It's really interesting. I think I went there the first time maybe 8 years ago or 10 years ago, and I really liked it a lot. And I've been going ever since. Like every once in a while, I'll get motivated, I'll go. They have a permanent exhibit, but then they also have a lot of rotating exhibits.
Oh, okay.
And the rotating installations, really can draw you back in.
Yeah. I thought that it was a new museum. I didn't know that it was there for so long.
Well, it was established in 1988.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll give you a little history. So let's talk about the history of the museum.
Yeah.
The Museum of Moving Image is a media museum located in a former building of the historic Astoria Studios, now Kaufman Astoria Studios, in the Astoria neighborhood in Queens. So that whole area used to be a movie filmmaking studio area.
That's why the movie theater is over there also.
Probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it was like they would actually have stages where they would, film movies, movie sets and everything. So they were called the Kaufman Astoria Studios. And so the museum originally opened in 1988 as the American Museum of Moving Image. The museum began a $67 million expansion in March of 2008 and then reopened in 2011.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
The expansion was designed by architect Thomas Lesser. Nobody cares about that. Description. The Museum of the Moving Image exists to expand public understanding and appreciation of the art, history, technique, and technology of film, television, and digital media by collecting, preserving, and providing access to moving image-related artifacts via multimedia exhibitions and educational programming. The exhibits include significant audiovisual components designed to promote an understanding of the history of the industry and an understanding of how it has evolved. I would say that's definitely something you'll see on the permanent exhibit. They have a thing where you can learn about how sound is put into movies, which is really cool. Like they'll give you a lot of interactive stuff.
Yeah, it's very interactive. That's why it's so interesting to go and see it, because you can actually feel and have the feeling for how it was at the beginning when they were trying to make movies, and even to watch, like, let's say, little images just moving around so that you can see how motion gets done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like that in that museum.
Yeah,
it's great.
They have like a lot of examples of how, like, for example, animation. They have that one thing where it's like a rotating sculpture.
Yeah, that's
with a strobe light.
that's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That's a really good permanent exhibit there where they show you this rotating sculpture in a dark room, and it has a strobe light, and the strobe light creates the illusion that the thing is animated and moving.
Yeah,
and it's to give you an example of how movies are made, where movies are just still images, but because they're moving, they create what we call the movie. You know, the motion. I mean, now it's digital and it's a whole different technology, but you know, it's still built on the same premise.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting permanent exhibit. Let me just keep going a little bit here. I mean, other facts about it. You know, it's a museum that in 2008 the museum broke ground for a $65 million expansion. So 2008 was like the big rebirth of the museum. While the museum remained open during most of the construction period, with its old theater demolished and the new ones yet to be built, screening series and other events were held off-site, although the collection was still available to scholars. The museum opened its redesigned and expanded building on 2011. As far as like the permanent exhibits at the museum, I would say we were just talking about their permanent exhibition called Behind the Screen. So here, like a little description of that, it says the core exhibition of the museum, Behind the Screen, is a one-of-a-kind experience that immerses visitors in the creative and technical process of producing, promoting, and presenting films. And it reveals the skills, the material, the resources, the artistic decisions that go into making moving images. The artifacts in the exhibition incorporates approximately 1,400 artifacts from the museum's collection of the material culture of the moving image. These include historic film, television cameras, projectors, television sets, sound recording equipment, costumes, set design. The costumes and set design, all that kind of stuff, they have a piece of the set of Blade Runner, which grabbed my attention. You know, anybody out there that knows Blade Runner, it's a classic sci-fi film. But they have this big building that was one of the sets from Blade Runner in there. And you look at it and it's just like a little, you know, silly sculpture. It doesn't look like much, and it has just little blinking lights, like little Christmas lights in it. But in the movie, it looked so crazy. They also have, I think in permanent exhibition, they have some of the Freddy Krueger stuff. They have another piece of sci-fi history. They have Enemy Mine, the alien mask from Enemy Mine.
Oh yeah.
Which is that's like a classic old sci-fi from the 80s with Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr., where he's the alien and they have to survive on a planet. But the mask was so well done for its time that I was really impressed to see it. It took me by surprise. I never imagined I would end up seeing it in person. The movie's so old. Yeah, I was like, who would ever own that? They have also like a lot of face masks, like what do they call prosthetics? Oh yeah. Of like Dustin Hoffman when they aged him for this one movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but there's an old movie where they aged Dustin Hoffman and they made him like he was like 80 years old or 90, maybe like 100 or 90 years old, something like that. They made him look like really, really old and decrepit. So they show on permanent exhibit, they have like the prosthetics, all the different stages of sculpting his face to make him look old. I mean, that kind of stuff is stuff that you see like on Netflix or on documentaries, and like you'll see that and you'll be like, wow, that's really cool, but you never think you're gonna see it in real person, you know, in real life. So that's pretty exciting when I saw those things. Let me see what else they say here. They say The museum has also been a pioneer in collecting video arcade and console games, which are on exhibit and available for play by visitors. Yes, they do have classic arcade games in there, which, I mean, to us, maybe, or at least me, my age, it doesn't seem like an exhibit thing, but for younger people, it's like, wow, look at this. Where'd this come from?
Exactly, yeah.
And they have that on permanent exhibit as well. So the computer-based interactive experiences. Visitors may record their own movements as a sequence of still photographs that can be printed out and made into a flip book. That's another thing that they have where you can animate yourself. Like
that's cool.
You jump around and whatever, and then like they show you how you're animated. They have this is what I was trying to describe before. They have the audio-visual material. It includes nearly 4 hours of audio-visual material that ranges from film clips related to the artifacts on display, projections of earliest kinetoscope films, The Great Train Robbery, The Jazz Singer. These are all classic black and white movies that they have on display. They have
clips, when you're walking around, they have the clips on, and then also obviously the sound, so you see almost a clip of the whole movie.
Yeah. And then they have this thing where they have like you do a voiceover, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Like
because they have like a little studio. You go in and then you can record either voiceover, put some effects on your voice, I think. And they have a section when you go to that place where I think you can do your voice and either record yourself or something. I think that's where they have also the flip book and everything else, all the activities.
Well, if I remember correctly, they have is like they have movie clips, and they give you a script, and you have to read it.
Yeah.
And then they dub it into the clip.
Yeah, no, I remember.
To show you an example of how they overdub people's voices in movies, because in movies there's no sound, so they have to add the sound.
Yeah.
And then they have the other thing where they substitute music. So they'll have like scenes, like a 1 minute, not even one, like 30-second clip of a scene, and then they'll show you like how music impacts the movie, and then they'll have like different options of different music you can put.
Oh yeah.
And it gives a whole different feel to the same scene.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, you know, a lot of us that were creatives and we've edited or we've worked on videos or things like that, it might not be so amazing to us, but to have a museum that teaches that, you know, to future generations or people who have no access to filmmaking or anything like that, I think it's very inspiring. You know, I think that's one of the positive things about the museum is that you're inspiring young people to put ideas in their head of like how they themselves can make movies.
Yeah, and also it makes it for people that enjoy movies to see the real work that goes behind it, and then maybe take the film industry as a little bit more of a serious type of art. With all the details that goes behind making a movie. Yep.
And then so another permanent exhibition they have is the Jim Henson exhibition. That's an ongoing exhibit there. That is something that whenever anybody talks about the museum, they usually talk about that. They're like, oh yeah, the Jim Henson exhibit. So if anybody doesn't know, some people might not know, but Jim Henson was the guy who invented the Muppets. He worked on Sesame Street. He's the voice of Kermit the Frog and all the famous Muppets. So he was a pioneer in television and in film for using puppetry. And he not only, you know, did he do those, but he also did stuff as elaborate as like Fraggle Rock and The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. They had that recently. We went to see that.
Oh yeah.
Where they had the Labyrinth stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Where they had the what was it, like because they have these creatures and all this stuff.
The one with the hands and.
Yeah, and they have all these like bird-like, like little vulture-looking creatures.
Yeah.
And they had the actual puppets there, and that was really, for me, that was really exciting because I grew up seeing this in the movies. I never thought I would actually get to see the real puppet.
Yeah.
You know, and that was really amazing because you look at it and you're like, wow, this looks like nothing. Like it looks like somebody put it together in some backyard somewhere. The materials don't even look like anything out of the ordinary.
Right.
I think the Fraggle Rock stuff looked a little more like, how would I say, like more sophisticated, because the puppetry, the mechanics involved in making those little guys move was really, really intense. Like that's where I was like, damn, like there's a lot of technical know-how behind it.
Yeah.
You know, they had all these like wires and pulleys and like you can control the puppet with like all your fingers, and like you had to use both hands, like you had like joysticks to be able to move these tiny little figures. So that was pretty cool. And then they have also on display, they have like the classic Muppets, the classic, you know, Kermit the Frogs and all that kind of stuff in their original clothing and whatever. But that exhibit is really cool. I think that's one that, you know, if you've never seen that stuff, we're all familiar with that. I think that's something everybody could identify with, and that's probably why it's a permanent exhibit.
Yeah.
Let me just see what it says here about it really quick. It says, this dynamic experience explores Jim Henson's groundbreaking work for film and television and his transformative impact on culture. It reveals how Jim Henson and team of builders, performers, and writers brought to life the enduringly popular worlds of the Muppets, the Muppet movies, Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, The Dark Crystal, and Labyrinth. It also includes material from Jim Henson's experimental film projects and his early work, presenting him as a restlessly creative performer, filmmaker, and technical innovator. Yeah, that's another thing. They have like his notes, his storyboards. They have like some concept sketches and art. That stuff is really exciting to look at also. And it says, what else does it say here? It says, the Jim Henson exhibition made possible by major support from blah, 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 blah. Capital funding for it, blah, 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 blah. Okay. That's pretty much it. But yeah, no, that's a great exhibit also. So that's another big one. I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to just totally spoil everything for you guys, but those are the standout things that I remember from it and reading from it. I think it is definitely, it's not free. You got to pay for your entrance, but it's definitely worth the money.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you've gone to the Met, if you've gone to, you know, MoMA, and if you've gone to all these other museums, but you've never heard of this museum, go check it out. This is the Museum of Moving Image. It's worth the trip if you're in one of the boroughs and you're like, I don't want to go to Queens. Trust me, take the time, go spend the day there, just hang out. They have a little cafeteria there that, you know, it's not really that pricey.
And there's places around to eat, so it's no problem.
Yeah.
Astoria is always alive, so it's a great place to have a museum as well. You have the movies in front of that building, and then also some bars and restaurants around. So it's a great maybe to go during noon, start in the museum and then go out. It's a great place to go. And also that is different. It's something that at least in New York you have never seen. Like here we have the more classic museums where you can see paintings and sculptures and sculpture, but to see a museum about film and a little bit more interactive other than MoMA, because I know that in the MoMA we have like some arcades and maybe a little bit of furniture and like art that is a little bit more of theatrical type of art.
Yeah.
But then to go there and to see the origins of moving image and movies is a good place to go and learn about it.
You know, and I was also thinking, if you have kids, it's definitely a good one for that, because it's interesting enough that it gets the imagination of everybody. Because like I went with my sons, and I also went with my dad, and it got everybody's attention. It got my attention for all the pop culture references. You know, I grew up with a lot of this stuff, but then when you see, like my father, when he saw the old films, the old cameras, and he's looking at it like he remembers that, but he doesn't think of it like, oh, this should be in a museum.
Exactly.
And he's looking at that stuff and he's like, wow, that's the stuff that he never even had any idea how that was made, but he had heard of it or seen photos of this kind of equipment.
Yeah.
And then he's like really bugging out when he's seeing these older things, because he's like, thinking to himself like, wow, I never even imagined that. They have old television cameras, like
like the ones that are gigantic that needed like more than one people to move.
Yeah. And you look at that and you say, and they have old televisions too, and then you look at that and you say, wow, look at how far we've come. Like, I'm sure my father grew up at a time where black and white TV was a special thing. It was amazing. It was like a new technology, let alone color TV.
Yeah.
And then now that we're on this like, high definition, crazy flat screen TVs and all that.
And internet.
And internet.
Cable.
Yeah, you can
TV.
watch movies on your computer and all that, on your phone.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. If you go, it's for the whole family, because you go with older generations, they're gonna enjoy it. The kids are enjoying it because they make it fun for kids as well. And then us in the middle, we're just like really taken in by all the pop culture reference. But yeah, that's it. That's my contribution for this week. I don't know which one I'm gonna do next week, but I'm thinking probably I'm gonna get into I think the Transit Museum.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think I'll talk about the Transit Museum next time. The Transit Museum is definitely cool. It's in Brooklyn. We're due to go check it out again sometime soon. We haven't gone in a while. I wonder if they changed their exhibit, but we should do that. But that's the next one. All right. So for this one, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you are like us in New York and you are dealing with this bitter cold weather,
so early in December.
I know. And it's the holidays. People are having a lot of time off. This is the perfect time to go out and
you have
enjoy a
family
museum.
Coming to visit. Maybe invent a trip to the Museum of Moving Image.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys.
Pero si no estás haciendo todo igual, no tiene ningún color el paso que hace. Separa menos tiempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 y 10. 2.
Culture Talk.
Yes, culture.
We're
talk.
back with Culture Talk.
We are back with culture talk.
What do you got for Culture Talk this time, Carla?
Well, I have been missing Puerto Rico
What?
a lot.
Aw.
And I have coworkers that are Puerto Rican, so we're talking a lot about Puerto Rican traditions and festivities and stuff like that at work.
Okay.
So I thought that why not we can talk a little bit about Puerto Rican traditions during the holidays.
Like what kind of traditions? You mean like actual
like
religious holidays? Or are you talking
religious
about
holidays, but also some musical events that
cool.
we have and we do, and other festivals and stuff like that happen through Christmas. And that's why I think that we say that our Christmas and holidays are the longest in the world, even though it might not be, but whatever, we like to exaggerate and stuff, and
All right.
we are very extra. I think that's what it is. We are very extra, and we want to start things early when it comes to parties and when it comes to music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things is, like I said, we said that we have the longest Christmas, and it is because usually it starts for us in November, even before Thanksgiving Day. So I always remember in school, already in November, it's feeling a little bit colder. I know it's Puerto Rico and supposed to be summer all year long, but we actually feel the difference when it gets down to, 78.
Yeah.
So in November, it starts feeling a little colder. In schools, kids start to get ready for their Christmas presentations. That's big, whatever, if you are in Catholic school or in public school. It's always a tradition to make, let's say, a dance or to sing a song during Christmas, but also during the day of Puerto Rico, which is in November. So usually what happens is that we mix Christmas, the beginning of Christmas, and Puerto Rican Proud to make a presentation and sing Puerto Rican music, folk music, which is usually connected to Christmas and holidays.
Okay.
So that's in November.
November what?
Well,
more or less.
More or less, I would say
After Thanksgiving?
Before Thanksgiving. I would say like maybe November 10th or so, and then after Thanksgiving, when we come back from those vacations, then we have presentations and things like that we have to do in school and that we have to get ready for, and that's why we start early. Another thing that start early in Puerto Rico are the parrandas. And if you don't know what is a parranda is basically it was started as a gift, and it was started as a surprise music gift that neighbors will give to each other. So back
a parranda, but not a gift. You're saying not a gift like a physical gift. You're saying the gift of music.
Yeah, the gift of music, exactly. During Christmas.
Okay. Caroling.
Basically,
Christmas caroling.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
But in the Puerto Rican way, which means it's not all quiet and it's not all like sweet. I mean, the lyrics can be sweet, but it's a little bit more outgoing, and it's a little bit more we have a lot of percussion when we do that.
It's
other instruments. It's not just voices.
It's not just a choir.
It's not just a choir, exactly.
Okay.
We have instruments like the cuatro, the guitar, some panderos, which are some percussion instruments that are played. You standing up and you play that percussion.
So let me ask you this. So you guys go around doing the parrandas. Is dancing part of that?
Yeah, of course.
But I'm sure everybody starts dancing eventually, but I'm saying the tradition, is it that you go to sing, play, and dance, or do you go to sing and play and then people start dancing?
Sing and play and then people start dancing. Yeah,
Got
usually.
you.
And what happened is that before, back in the day, it was supposed to be a surprise, and the parranda will start with an aguinaldo, which is a type of folk music, and an aguinaldo means a gift. So that's why the parranda is a gift, and it starts with that style of folk music. Then from that, they'll continue with other songs.
So it's like a gift of like cheering people up.
Yeah, of course.
The gift of cheer of
Yeah, but now with this generation, parrandas are like the new get-togethers during Christmas. And what they do is that the house owner already knows that this group is coming with the parranda, so they get ready with drinks, with food. They do sancochos, they do everything. So when the big group comes into the house, and now it's huge groups, they get all together, go into the house, they're ready to receive them, and it's more like a party and like getting the spirit ready for Christmas, which is great.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then get-togethers are also a big thing during Christmas and the holidays. Mostly what I also remember about getting together, not only with your family but also with your friends, is that it doesn't matter if you're gonna stay in your house, you have to dress up. You have to dress nicely. It doesn't matter if it's just your family that you see every day, if it's Christmas Eve, if it's Christmas, New Year's Eve. You have to dress up and you have to, be in the spirits of Christmas, that's something that I always remember, because here in New York it's different, it's colder, also the outfits are different, and people usually, if they're staying home, they don't dress up like that. Like, I feel like people stay in pajamas or whatever we do. Sometimes in Christmas Day, we stay in pajamas and we're just watching movies, but we're here at home. So that's something else.
So these get-togethers that you're talking about, they are formal religious get-togethers, or are they just like people just getting together and having food? And
this is just people getting together and having food and stuff like that, but as part of the get together. If you are practicing, let's say, the Catholic religion, you'll go to mass,
right,
and then go back home, or maybe go to eat somewhere.
Got you. Okay.
And then maybe continue with the parrandas.
So do you guys in these parrandas and these things, are you guys already like Americanized to the point where like you got parrandas mixed with Deck the Halls and Here Comes Santa Claus?
No.
No? Really?
Yeah.
You guys don't mix it up? Frosty the Snowman?
No, we don't have that. Okay. No, it's actually in
so it's
that,
really what you grew up with was like really none of that commercial American.
I mean,
Christmas.
Santa Claus, yeah.
So you guys don't sing that
but
stuff.
But we don't sing. Yeah.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There's no audience for it.
Yeah. Another thing that happens during Christmas that is very Puerto Rican and it had become a tradition is the special by Banco Popular, which is a musical special that is always presented at the beginning of December.
That's a good one.
To also basically to start the spirits of Christmas for the Puerto Rican crowd.
So you're talking about this is a movie that is put together every year, and it's online, and it's basically a musical.
Yeah, it is a musical. So what they do is that they have a specific theme each year, and they will select Puerto Rican songwriters and singers, or maybe some international singers. And depending on the theme, they have different songs that are traditional from Puerto Rico. For example, this year, the theme was the 100 years of the bank. So what they did is that they started... Banco Popular. So what they did is that they started from, I think, 1920s or so. And they presented different songs from each century.
Right.
Century? No, not century.
No,
decade. Eso lo que. From each decade, with a popular singer from now.
Right.
So it's a nice musical and it's a nice video that has become a tradition. Everybody on my Facebook is always talking about it every year when it comes out, and it's also something that it creates a feeling of that you feel proud about being Puerto Rican, the Puerto Rican tradition. So it's like a warm feel video that every year we watch all together.
Yeah, I remember when you first introduced me to it. I think this is the third one that I've seen now. And when you first introduced me to it, there was one that it was like some young kids, and they were like in Puerto Rico for the holidays. And then like basically the whole video is them going from town to town and all these little places. And they're celebrating, and everywhere that they went, they break into music. They end up happen to show up to a place where there's a band ready to perform a song.
Yeah.
But it's that format is a little cheesy, but at the same time it fits perfectly because it's a holiday event thing. It's like a parranda because that's what you're just describing. That Puerto Rican culture, they're very used to the holidays being related to music.
Yeah.
So it fits perfectly because it's like they're compiling all these songs and trying to tell a story for the holidays. And but I remember that one was really cool because they showed a lot of the island. And
because it was like you were on a road trip with them.
Yeah, through Puerto Rico, and then they were doing like GPS or whatever, like a road map, like a Google Maps of all the places they were hitting.
Yeah.
Which are real places that you can actually go visit in Puerto Rico. And but I think it was really good, and the variety of music and everything is another thing. It's another draw to it. I would compare that to like when I was growing up, they used to have musicals on like music. They still have musical specials. I just don't pay attention to them. But when I was growing up, they used to have the musical specials, like a very whatever Christmas. Let's say a very Kenny Rogers Christmas, and it would be like all country music, American country music, and it would be like them pretending that they're going to like a log cabin, and then the snowstorm came. We're gonna have to stay here overnight. Well, let's start singing. I just happen to have a guitar. All right, and now we're gonna start singing.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly like that.
Yeah.
But the Puerto Rican way, the Puerto Rican version.
But this time, the new one, the one for this year that we just saw, a week ago?
Yeah.
This new one is really, they took it up to another level by introducing history.
Yeah.
And trying to show these decades, like you said, and showing the music from some of the old influences, whether it's the European, the African, and all the mixtures of the sounds and the instruments, the dances.
Yeah, and then at the end to show where we all came from, basically the results, the conclusion after all these years of music.
Where we're going.
We're going,
Yeah, and they have like, no spoilers, but they have Bad Bunny at the end.
Yeah,
and then the last song is from Calle 13.
Yeah.
Right? From Residente. So, I mean, it's cool. They went full circle and went into urban music. They went into like modern urban music, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. So where can people check that out?
Well, I'm not sure because they sell those specials and they sell the album for the special as well. So I'm not sure if it's still online, but if it's still online, it will be YouTube. You can search Banco Popular, Especial de Banco Popular 2018.
Especial de Banco Popular 2018.
Yes.
And if you guys want to see the older ones, I would imagine you would just do the same thing. Especial de Banco
2017,
Popular,
2016.
Exactly.
I'm sure that for sure somebody recorded it and it's online.
Yeah.
But they also have it on sale, and you can search the same way, and I'm sure that their website is gonna come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
So another thing that is very Puerto Rican that I have seen.
Pernil.
Yes, but that's food, and I didn't want to talk about food in this episode.
I'm just hungry.
But pernil is so delicious, though. But another thing that is very Puerto Rican that I haven't seen here is the misas de aguinaldo. Misas de aguinaldo, when I was back in Puerto Rico and I used to go to church, are these masses that they do at 5 in the morning.
What?
So you have to wake up like
No.
It was 5 or 6 in the morning, and you have to wake up and go to church. But the thing is that this mass was different from the others because they will have the same music as the one you have for the parrandas at 6 in the morning. And then also at the end of the mass, they'll have like hot chocolate and bread and cheese and stuff like that. So that's another thing. It's very Puerto Rican. It's very like Jíbaro.
Jíbaro means country people.
Country people, yeah, like from the mountainside, and something that translated into Catholic church, but more of like a Puerto Rican Catholic church.
Yeah.
And another thing is that we in Puerto Rico also celebrate the Three King Day, which is in January. So that means that in the United States, usually Christmas ends by January 2nd.
Christmas and New Year's.
And yeah, it's Christmas, New Year's, that's it. Those are the holidays.
Yep.
For us, we have Christmas, so Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. New Year's, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And the Three King Day, which is the Three King Days Eve and Three King Days Day, which actually is very funny because before, the Three King Days used to be more important than Christmas Day because Christmas Day was related to Santa Claus, and in Puerto Rico, because they follow Catholic religion, Three King Days was more special.
The Three Kings Day.
The Three Kings Day.
Right.
Was more special and it was more traditional. But now, actually, Christmas Day is the most popular one. And there's actually a song, I think it's a salsa song, that it says, it's like the Three Kings, the Three Kings talking to Santa Claus, saying that, hey, we're trying to do something here. This is our actual tradition. And you're coming out here giving gifts to the kids, and then they don't want to come out to play when we come and we give them gifts. So what's going on? And it's very funny. And actually, I will maybe put a little bit of the song on the Instagram you guys can hear it. But it's a very traditional thing that in Puerto Rico, they'll give you, let's say, like one gift Christmas Day. But now they'll give you like your 4 gifts Christmas Day, and the 3 Kings Day, you will go to church or just get together with your family, and that's it. But that's a funny one.
But
and
Three Kings Day. So like, what's the deal with Three Kings Day?
Well, the 3 Kings Day.
For some of us that did not grow up with Three Kings Day, we don't know. When you keep saying Three Kings Day, what does it mean? What is that?
So what it is that basically Jesus was born in December 25th, according to our calendar.
Yes.
And according to the story, there were 3 wise kings that went to visit him. So in January, I believe it's 6, the 3 kings, the 3 wise men actually got to see Jesus. So that's why we celebrate in January.
After the fact that he was born.
After the fact that he was born, because according to the story, he was born first, and then they were following the star.
That's really technical. But it makes sense.
But then they were following the star, right? And then when they got there, he was already born. So
it can't be on the 25th.
That's the whole story.
It's got to be after.
Yeah, it has to be after he was born.
Got to give him a little time to like clean up and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so true. You know, I didn't think about it that way, but that makes sense.
So that's what it is. And also an important fact about the 3 Kings Day in Puerto Rico is that we actually have our own 3 kings. They're from a town in...
Wait, what do you mean? Real life 3 kings?
No, but there's these 3 men that they dress up as the 3 kings in Puerto Rico from a specific town. And they're called the Los Reyes de Juana Díaz. Juana Díaz is a town in Puerto Rico. So they are the special kings from Juana Díaz, and they travel around the island during Christmas, and everybody goes to them, take pictures with them and stuff like that.
No fucking way. Seriously?
Yeah.
But it's not always the same guys. It's just people dressed up as these 3 guys.
I think it's the same guy for the same 3 guys for a while.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, now I'm not sure if they're still the same, but I think that they started like this tradition to do like, okay, we're gonna have our own
3 kings.
3 kings, and then they continue.
Because I would imagine that if nobody really took control of it, you would have 3 kings from all different towns eventually.
Right. No, that's why they made
12 kings running around.
No, that's why they made like the signature, we are the 3 kings.
All right. That's funny.
Yeah. And then Christmas in Puerto Rico finally ends with the San Sebastian Street Festival.
What the hell is that?
That's a festival in Old San Juan, in a very important street that is called the San Sebastian Street. And originally it was to celebrate the Saint Sebastian.
Okay.
But now, it's all about party, alcohol, reggaeton, and everything else. The festival lasts 4 days, starts on Thursday and finish on Sunday, and it's around like January 15 or January 18th. Okay. So that's why that's the end for Christmas, because it's like the end of the parties, and that's the last place you go before everything goes back to normal.
But so this San Sebastian thing is, you said what date?
Let's say from January 15th. The date it changes.
Okay, yeah.
But like from the 15th to the 18th.
And so like but this has a religious connotation?
It started as a religious festival, but now it's more about music. They have different stages around the different plazas that we have in Old San Juan. So different type of music.
But it's still Christmas related?
It's still Christmas related, yeah.
Is it New Year's related? Or is it just straight Christmas related?
I would say it's still holidays related. Like it's still part of going out and celebrating.
Because, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm like, okay, now you're just bugging. I was all right with the Three Kings Day. Like that made sense because it was tied to the story.
Yeah,
And I'm like, all right, I get it. We're starting with the, like you start with like the prayers before Christmas, leading up to the birth of Christ and all this stuff. And then you get to Christmas and it's like, oh, it's Christmas Day, birth of Christ, blah, blah, blah. And then, all right, fine, Three Kings, they're on their way to go see the baby. And okay, now that's but now what are you doing after that? What? How is it still Christmas?
This is more, it's still Christmas because the decorations are on.
Why?
The decorations are still up.
Why would they still be up?
Because of course it's a celebration. Stop. But more than Christmas, I would say that it's like part of holiday. Like it's part of going out and celebrate and having a good time.
Okay.
That's what we do. We have a good time. You live in a tropical island. What do you expect us to do? It's always good weather, so you enjoy the good weather. No, but actually, it's a nice festival to go. They do have artesanías.
Right.
How you call it in English?
Crafts.
Yeah, like crafts and craftsmen and stuff like that. And different bands and music groups all over. And it's a nice experience. I will say if you guys want to go, I will say you guys can go on Thursday or Sunday. Friday and Saturday is the craziest day. It's a lot of fights and a lot of crazy things happening. So if you want to go Friday or Saturday, go during the day. Don't go at night, even though at night is when the music gets better. But that's what it is.
All right.
I started going to that festival since I was like 15, and I remember that the first time we went, I was with my friends and we were holding hands, and all of a sudden something happened, started running. Well, it was a crazy thing. But it was fun. And then after that, we just went for the music and everything else.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I guess when should we be gearing up for the holidays then? Is it time now?
We're already late.
We're late.
So you guys better get ready with your coquito, put your trees up, because it was supposed to be yesterday.
You wanted me to teach you, right? This is street reality.
Hablando español, Carla.
Yes, hablando español. So how do you say?
Yes.
Motion.
Motion is movimiento.
Yes.
But that's
you're
movement.
Right.
Is there actually motion? It's the same thing.
I will say it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Motion is movimiento. Yes.
How do you say screening?
Screening. Shit. I don't know. You mean screening like specifically a movie, right? A movie screening?
Yes.
Yeah, I never even thought of that in Spanish. Is there an actual term for that in Spanish?
Yeah.
What is it?
So it's called proyección.
Well, that's projection.
But that's screening. Proyección.
All right,
like showing.
That's
Yeah.
Projecting. Proyección. But a screening is it's a little more about the event. When you say screening, you actually are referring to the event of people gathering for the screening.
For the screening.
More than just projection.
Okay.
But okay, so projection I would say is
Yeah.
Proyección. Proyección. All right, we got it.
How do you say?
Yes.
Images.
Images is imágenes.
Yes.
I got that down pat.
How do you say Muppets?
I don't think there's a Spanish word for Muppets.
Yes, they are. There is.
For Muppets?
Yes.
Or puppets?
No, perdón. For puppets.
Thank you. Muppets is a made-up word.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, so a Muppet is a made-up word, but a puppet is I used to know that word.
Yes, I'm sure you know it.
Because of Pinocchio.
Yeah.
But it's not a puppet, it is a marionette.
Yeah, in Spanish, how you say it?
Marioneta?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Marioneta. Yeah, so here we go. We just did a little history, right? We just rewound in history. So you got Muppet, which is what people know now, because that's more common. It's like a sock puppet is a Muppet. But then you have puppets, right? Puppets are the ones that are made out of wood or rubber or whatever, and they're, it's a puppet, and the cloth or whatever. It's a puppet. You put your hand in there. Then you have a marionette. Marionette is on strings. It's a puppet on strings. It's a marionette.
Yeah.
And that's where the Spanish one comes in from. Marioneta.
Yeah, marioneta.
So I guess Spanish people we don't celebrate puppets or Muppets.
Or títeres.
Títere, right?
That's another, títere. That's another word.
Why do they say títere to street kids?
That's a good question. And I guess maybe it's because they're being like manipulated by someone else, and that's a títere. That's a good analogy.
I do this all the time, Carla. That's why I'm here.
Because títere, right, means that you're being controlled, like by something else. So maybe if you're in the streets, you're being controlled by someone else.
I would say it's either something like that, or is it as simple as like when Pinocchio was running wild?
Maybe.
That I gotta look that up. I'm gonna look that up, and I'm gonna come. I need to investigate this. Maybe you guys out there know. But so títere, it means puppet, right? But títere also is slang for like a street kid. Like when we used to say, like, that hoodlum, like the hood in the street.
Yeah.
Don't be a hood, don't be a street kid.
Yeah.
You say, mira esos títeres, or no sea un títere. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I never explored that word, and now I'm gonna pursue that to the end.
I'm sure.
Of the world. All right, next one.
Actually, do you have any words?
Of course I do.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
How do you say the three wise kings?
Los tres Reyes Magos.
But that's not three wise kings. That's three magical kings.
Well, that's the way we say it.
Why? Why in Spanish they're magical, but in English they're just wise?
I don't know.
How do you say born? To be born. Because little baby Jesus was born on the 25th.
To be born. Haber nacido.
Okay.
O nacer.
Nacer. Okay. All right. How do you say? Do you have an expression for North Star? Like, is there a term for it?
Sí.
Like a religious term?
Yeah.
Or is it just?
No. La estrella de Belén. That's how it's called.
So like the Star of Bethlehem.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Carla, for teaching me all the Spanish just in time for the holidays.
Thank you.
All right. Another episode, and we're back.
Yes.
We're constantly taking these little breaks.
I know. It's creative breaks, though.
Nah, it is creative breaks. We've been working on some music and stuff.
Yeah.
Carla's getting together some writing and some composing and getting very creative here in the studio, which is good. But okay, so we'll be back for next episode.
Yeah. Bear with us.
Yeah, and we'll be hitting you guys very soon. Peace.
Happy holidays.